Hello, good morning, everybody. Just get started in a moment. Just waiting for my colleague, Tom. Hi, Tom.
Hello.
All right, let me share my screen. Hopefully everyone can see that. We'll get started in just one moment. I can see people are joining. Okay. Right, lovely. Let's get started then. So this webinar is being recorded, so if you're late joining or need to drop off for whatever reason, don't worry about it. We'll send out the recording afterwards. So before we get started, I'll just introduce MaxContact. Max, if you've either not a customer or haven't heard of MaxContact before, MaxContact is a contact center platform built to help organizations achieve better outcomes. So whether that's more meaningful conversations or to drive business outcomes, we work with a lot of sales organizations, debt collection, debt resolution, management, and customer engagement teams to really make it easier to connect with customers, manage customers at scale, and also gain powerful insights into the conversations that are happening across your team in the contact center utilizing AI. Some providers out there just focus on call handling. MaxContact is all about how you can achieve your outcomes with the tools that we have in our platform and the support from our team as well. You may or may not have heard, we recently launched both an inbound and outbound AI agent as well through an acquisition. Because AI and automation absolutely has its place in the contact center. You cannot get away from the noise around AI, and rightly so. There's lots of operational efficiencies to be gained utilizing AI and automation appropriately in contact centers and in customer engagement teams. But just as important as having the technology is knowing when to use it and when a human touch makes the difference. So our last webinar was all about AI and automation. Today, we're going to be talking about, well, actually, when does it make sense to have that human engagement in your customer engagement life cycle or in your processes? And that's what we'll be covering today. So housekeeping, like I said, it's been recorded. Feel free to submit your questions at any time. That's why we do these live. Sometimes there are some small hiccups, but we do it so that we can get as many questions and engagement as possible. And we'll send out the recording afterwards. So quick intro to us as a team. So firstly, I'll introduce Tom. So Tom is joining us today. He's head of implementations here at MaxContact. Tom works really closely with our customers in the customer success team and really helps organizations get what they need to out of their platform and their investment in MaxContact. So you're up and running smoothly from initial setup right through to launch and beyond. He's got heaps of knowledge around contact strategies, utilization of technology, when is the best place to use certain features, functionality within our platform, and also when it comes to solving problems, really helps organizations to understand the best way of doing that. He's worked at MaxContact for a number of years now and recently welcomed a baby girl. So he might be looking a little more tired than people are used to seeing. But yes, he's still very efficient and on the ball. So I'm Kayleigh Tait, I'm Marketing Director at MaxContact. I've been instrumental and involved in driving the growth of the organisation and enhancing the brand through innovative strategies. I have got over 15 years experience in B2B, B2C, and led marketing functions across various industries, so including telecoms, commodity markets, and also customer engagement technology. So that's a bit of our background, so you can see the context of where we're coming at this conversation from. So you'll have me just for a few more minutes. We'll touch on a few things happening in the industry and some research that we've recently uncovered, and then I'll hand over to Tom, who's going to show you how certain things are applied within the MaxContact platform as well. So kicking off with a real world example, if you haven't seen this already, I'm sure lots of people have. It was pretty well publicized when it first came out as well. So news earlier on in the year was that Klarna, a global fintech company, made headlines for rolling out AI agent contact centers that replaced their entire workforce of 700 human agents. It was labeled as obviously quite a drastic but innovative move at that point in time, due to it being fast, cost effective, and initially looked like a triumph, and that Klarna were going to be setting almost the roadmap of how brands should be implementing AI in their customer engagement teams. They reported that 2.3 million customer conversations in the first month, with average handling time dropping from 11 minutes to 2 minutes with AI. So it all sounded absolutely amazing. But then just a few months later, I think this is almost 2 weeks ago now, Klarna pivoted, and they did so publicly as well. And that's mainly down to the customer experience and the impact that I suppose rolling out technology at scale without that consideration of the customer journey, the customer pain points, with limited flexibility, really had on the brand itself. So that's something that is really interesting to us, and really comes down to actually, when is AI and chatbots and those digital deflection channels are a good fit for your customer journey? What types of conversations should you be driving to those channels, so you still get the efficiency as a brand, but you are not harming the reputation or the customer experience, and then therefore other things like customer retention or growth, all things that are having impacts on the bottom line. So Klarna's CEO admitted that focusing too heavily on cost cutting compromised the quality of the brand. He described the service as lower quality and said that the balance wasn't quite there. And that's really where we're coming at this conversation from. It's how do you achieve that balance? And sometimes it's a test and learn approach. They obviously went all in and learned relatively quickly, but have also backtracked. So a powerful reminder that automation alone can't solve every customer service challenge. And that's what today's session's about. So just quickly sharing some stats from a recent research piece that we conducted here in the UK. So the Klarna story isn't an outlier. It reflects where we're hearing, what we're hearing across different industries. The Voice of the Consumer report is a view from over 1,000 UK consumers, and really delved into how they want to interact with brands as a UK consumer, and where speaking to somebody, a human, is more appropriate versus those digital channels, or perhaps an AI agent. So 70% said that they would prefer to speak to a human when it's to explain a specific situation. 67% when it's an emergency, 65% for those complex account queries, and 61% when it comes to making a complaint. And then just off this, but 59% when negotiating terms. So if you are trying to barter on price for your insurance or your broadband service, then actually, do you feel like you are getting the best deal with that level of engagement when it's not a human that you're speaking to? So it's not just about complexity here. It's about how do you reassure clients, build that emotional intelligence, which leads to more trust. And they're things that is relatively difficult to do through an AI agent, but humans obviously are best placed to do it when the stakes are high. So what makes inbound contact so hard to get right? So customers expect more than ever. They want fast answers, clear communication, and empathy, but they also want to speak to the right person and not get lost in a maze of automation, and that's absolutely crucial. The challenge is balancing efficiency with experience, and according to our research, 55% of consumers actually abandon calls due to excessive wait times, 35% because the agent didn't understand their situation. And that's not just a missed connection, but it's a missed opportunity. And that's where automation does have a role to play, but only when it's used smartly. So routing queries, triage flows, self-service, they should all work together to help free up your agents so that they can focus on the conversations where they're really needed and really matter. And they're adding that value that ultimately you want. And when those complex calls do come in, agents need to be ready, and that means they need to have access to knowledge across your organization, consistent training, coaching, supporting scripts and guides, because giving your team the right tools to succeed is really, it's just as important as the tech, I suppose, behind the scene as well. The best customer experiences don't just happen, they are engineered, and they really do start with trust. So whether it's a missed delivery, a complex debt claim, a vulnerable customer that's contacting you, these are all moments when your team can build trust. I suppose it's they either build the trust or it's an opportunity where trust can be lost quite easily as well. Customers want to feel heard and helped fast, and that's where those intelligent systems and journeys come in. And by routing queries to the right team at the right moment, you really help eliminate that friction and give your team the best chance of resolving issues fast first time. So it's not all about routing as well. I suppose it's about relevance, and that smart contact strategies combine team-specific workflows, supportive scripts, real-time context, so your team aren't scrambling for answers, and they're able to step up confidently on calls, ready to help. So this is what the shift is looking like, is less admin, less action, less confusion, and more clarity. And that's driven by having the platform that's designed to support people and not replace them. And that's where we see the role of AI and automation playing really well into the contact center space. So at this point, I'll hand over to Tom, who will share our view and some of the helpful things we have in product that will help you do that.
Thank you, Kayleigh. Let me just share my screen. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of our IVR, so how we route calls through to customers and the smart routing that Kayleigh was talking about. Kind of before we start, just a bit of an overview on kind of routing. So why it's important technically is we want to get the right customers through to the right people. We don't want to build that frustration from a customer level that they are waiting in a queue, they finally get through to somebody, and that person is not the person they want to speak to. So they have to be transferred again into another queue. It increases the customer's frustration. Suddenly, the agent they do speak to, the user they do speak to, is fighting an uphill battle because the customer is already upset. So we want to kind of remove that. So again, we want to get the customer through to the right person in the right time. And we can do a lot of that within the IVR that we have. So you can see my screen here. We have a very colorful IVR maker. I will not talk you through every single element here, but kind of just some of the routing options we have. So as we do go along, we can see here, we have your opening hours. This is very basic routing. Are you open? Are you closed? Let's do something different depending on your opening hours. The next very, very quick level or quick smart routing available is your IVR menu. So press 1 for this department, press 2 for this department. It's a very simple way that customers understand. Everyone's gone through an IVR menu before, and it will take the customers to the right place. So what we can then do on this example, the customer has pressed 1. and they've gone through to our first queue element. So if we click on the element there, we can see the settings on the right-hand side. So we can kind of see what goes in behind that element. So in this scenario, we are going through to the help desk queue because somebody's pressed 1 and they've asked for the help desk. So we're going through to that queue. In this scenario, we're giving that queue 20 seconds. If all your users are busy and all your agents are busy, we don't want the customers waiting too long before we give them another option. So in this case, we've decided to wait 20 seconds. We then overflow to the second queue. Now on the second queue, you have some options. So with the smart routing, you can basically send the call through to the same queue again, and also add an overflow queue or several overflow queues if you'd like to. So in this scenario, we have the queue routing here, and we can add multiple queues. So again, we could still say we still want to go through to the help desk queue, but also we can overflow to the sales queue as well, just in case there's nobody still available on the help desk queue. Now we still want to prioritize our help desk queue because that's what the call was originally made for. So in that scenario, we can increase the priority to make sure that if there is someone that's become available in the help desk, we'll go through to that user. If not, we will overflow to the sales queue. Now, we have those options there, and they are priorities in here. The higher the number, the higher the priority. You can also prioritize agents within that queue. So if you have certain users within the queue that are more highly skilled, they're more experienced, you could make sure they're not off the phone for too long, and you could put the calls through to them as a priority instead of the newer users that might still be getting used to the system. So we have those options. We also have a few different options that can keep the customer informed about how long they will be waiting in the queue and give them some options as well. So we have the option down here, you can see on the tick box there, announce EQT. So EQT is estimated queue time. So do we take into account how many customers are in the queue, how many agents you have available, how many agents want to call, your average call length, your average wait time, things like that, and we play back the estimated queue time to the customer. So we're keeping them informed about how long we expect them to be in the queue for. Now, based on that, they can make a choice. So using a phrase or a prompt, you can suggest that the customer presses an option to be taken to our queue buster or our golden ticket IVR. So what that essentially does, if I was to add a digit in here, I can change that to 1. I can basically say, if you would like to press a digit, you can be taken out of the queue and we will save your space within the queue. That will take you to another IVR, and everybody on their system will have a basic IVR built called the golden ticket IVR. Now, what this IVR does is it will add the customer into a queue. It will keep their place in the queue. They can hang up, and then once they get through to the front of the queue, that call will come up as a preview call for one of your users, and it will call the customer back. So it saves the customer waiting in the queue and maybe getting frustrated about the queue time if you're busy. And it will call them back when they do reach the front of the queue. So still fair to you guys as a business. You're still organizing the calls in the correct order they came in. But at the same time, the customer's feeling a little bit better. They don't have to queue. They'll get a call back as soon as they can do. So we have that option there. Another way to do it is also we have the enable over EQT routing. So you can set a time and you can suggest that if the estimated queue time is over 60 seconds, take the call somewhere else. So whether that be straight to a comfort message to again let the customer know that, sorry, the wait times might be a little bit higher today, or just to go through to another queue entirely, you can do that. So you have those options. Some of the other options we have for kind of giving the agent or the user a little bit more information about the call that's come in, we have a capture element. So we can ask the customer to enter digits. Now this could be the customer's reference number, which can then pass through to the agent once it goes through to the call. It could also be if you have a vulnerable customer, you may have sent out letters, you may have given them a code. They could enter that code within here and we could check it on the IVR. And if they qualify, they could then go through to a certain queue, a higher priority queue. That means that they get dealt with quicker and earlier by a user. So that's improving the customer experience for everybody, essentially. What you can also do with the capture element is a little bit of identification. So similar to the vulnerable customer section, what you can do is get them to enter a reference number, maybe a date of birth, something that you've got stored in the system that we can check against. So you do have those options. And if you really wanted to get advanced with it, we do have an API element. So if your CRM or where you store your information has an API that you can hook into, what you can do is make an API call, maybe based on the phone number the customer's called in on, or a reference number that they've entered. And that could be sent to using the API, it could be sent to the CRM, and that could come back and say, we found the customer, they need to be routed dynamically to this queue or a different queue. So you have those options in there. There's quite a lot. Obviously, we can't go through every one of them today. The one I will mention is we have the Get Stats IVR. So using this, you can pull stats from within the IVR, such as queue time, such as number of users in the queue, whether a campaign is paused or playing. And again, you can use that information to route the calls dynamically. So there are a couple of examples of smart routing that we've got within the system. Now, once we get through to a user, or once the call gets through to an agent or a user, how can we support that user in kind of helping the customer achieve your goals? So do they need to make a payment? Do they just need some help? Is it a customer service query? Any of that we can help with, essentially. So what can happen? We've got a few different ways to kind of coach the agents and help them out while they're on a call. So what I will do, I'll jump across to our contact hub. This is on our demo platform, and I'll jump into one of the campaigns. So first thing you will see once we log in, what you can do on the dashboard, you can have what's called a message of the day. So that's a simple pop-up that pops up, and it just has a pre-typed message that you've typed in as a manager, and that will display to the agents. So that could be an information message, such as, we have a team call at 3 o'clock, push this product today, remember to do your DPA when a call comes through. So that's information messages. Another way to deliver information, you might be able to see there at the bottom, is called a ticker. So on our dashboards, which are completely configurable, you can put whatever stats on there you want to, but you'll see along the bottom, we have our ticker widget here. So again, that message in there is completely customizable. It can be different for different campaigns that the guys log on to, and they have that in there. So that is a little bit of information for the agent, and that's live. So if you change that, that will pop up for the agent again. So these are all just little bits that can help the agent, because no matter how experienced they are, every call can be different. It could be a distressed customer. It could be someone who just needs a bit of support. It could be a new team member. There are different ways to help them out. So the message of the day is one example. The ticker widget that we can see there, that's another one. If I jump on a quick call, I can show you a couple more ways that we can help the agent. So I'm going to make a quick voice call on the system. We can type my number in quickly enough. So what I will do now, I will make a call. I will mute myself once a call comes through, or I'll just hear myself talking back, which will be fun. Okay, so we have a call that's come through and the script has popped up. So on the script can be a way, and there's a few different uses for the script. It can be used to capture information, as we have here. It can be used to display information to the users. So we have those options. It can also be used as a bit of a guide for the user. So should questions come up during the call, we have the script there that can take them through it, and it can suggest and make kind of small suggestions and do some objection handling as well. So we have here an objection handling button. If I click on that, you can pre-program the scripts in, and the scripts are very easy and really efficient and quick to change as well. So you can add in sections of the script with objections. So should these come up, the agent has a little bit of a helping hand. So they know that they're being supported. And if I click on one of these here, it can give you a little bit of information. So these are common kind of objections in a kind of sales call that comes up. So I can see those there. If I just need a bit of a refresher, or just need something to be, spark in my mind, that will come through and I can have a read of that. It's not too heavy. It's not forcing the agent to say these things, but it's just kind of a little memory, really. It's a little refresher if they do need that help and they do need something to trigger the memories. So we have those options there, and they're all in the script, and the script is completely configurable by yourselves. You can do that if you need to. So based on the script, we've also got some coaching that can be done to the agent as well. So using our coaching and our live listening feature, they can live listen to calls, and they can kind of send messages as well, which might help them out. So I can show you that as well. So on here, we have our coaching screen, and our coaching is completely configurable by permissions. So you'll be able to permission base this off. So only your team leaders can have access to your admins. what you can do on here is search for the user in question. So you can see several lovely stock photos of call center personnel there. I'm going to find my user. So I'm logged in as Tom Max. I can see at the moment that that user is talking. They've made some calls. This is the current call they're on. And you can see I've got several options down on the right. What I want to do first off is just send the agent a message, because maybe they might be struggling a little bit. So what I can do here, if I'm live listening, I can send them a message. They won't be able to reply, but it's a good information message. So I can say here, have you done DPA? Just as a new starter, they might need that reminder. They might have already started the conversation. They might need to circle back and make sure that they are speaking to the correct person. So with that option, I can send to the selected agent. I can also send to a group of agents as well. So I could send out a group message that kind of says, we've got a team meeting at 4 o'clock. Have you done DPA? Now, in the background, you'll be able to see down here, if I do send that selected agent, I get a pop-up and it says, we're going to send this message. Click OK. And you can see down here, it's come up with a message. So again, it's not too intrusive. It doesn't interfere with what the guys are doing and speaking about. But I can see there I've got a pop-up. So I can click view and it will show me the message. So have you done DPA? I sent an earlier one down here, maybe suggest a payment plan. And it's just that gentle coaching and support that the user might need while they're on the call. All those coach messages are accessible down here in the coach section. So you can click that and you can see the coach messages. I also mentioned what you can do instead of sending messages, you can help out on a call as well with voice. So if I jump back to that coaching page, I have the options on the right-hand side here as well. So with Monitor, I can live listen to a call that's currently active. The agent doesn't know I'm on the call. The customer doesn't know I'm on the call, but I can live listen. So I can kind of see what's going on. And using that might prompt the message that I'm sending. You can also coach. So another word for coach is whispering. So essentially, you're listening to a live call. You can then coach, so you can speak to the agent directly through their headset. The customer is not aware of this, but you are speaking to the agent and you can coach them along. So if they're struggling a little bit, you might be able to just coach them and suggest this, suggest that. It's another way just to support the user. We also have down here kind of the slightly more aggressively named Barge and Barge Kick. So Barge will allow you to join the call with the user. So if the customer is getting distressed, if they're maybe getting a little bit angry, you can jump on the call and maybe calm things down or help out the agent a little bit. So that's Barge. Barge Kick means you remove the user from the call and you take over the call. So again, it's for those times where maybe the user is getting a little bit worried, they're getting a little bit distressed, maybe the customer's getting a little bit distressed as well. You could jump on and you could support the agent with those. So you have those options there. And again, it's just a few different ways of helping and supporting the agent as you go through. So that's kind of the end of the demo section. So that's what happens when the agent is on a call. So when we're on a live call. But what happens afterwards? So after we've actually got the calls, we've made the calls, we spoke to the customer. There's obviously a coaching piece after the fact. So that's where Spoken AI comes in. So that's our speech analytics platform that we have. So using this, grab my screen here. So yeah, so essentially it's a way to support the users after the live call is finished. It gives you the insight to kind of understand what's really happening in the conversations. So it does show you what topics were discussed on calls. It will show you sentiment analysis. So, how positive was a call, how negative was a call. You can check for keywords and key phrases. So, was DPA said? Things like that. So did we go through everything that we needed to go through on that call? So it's a good way to do it in kind of a higher tier. QA users, QA agents, they can't listen to every call manually. Spoken AI kind of takes some of the legwork out of, and it does more of the overall. So it goes through everything. And obviously every call is important. So every call you do, it could be worth money to yourself. It could be worth a contract to somebody. It's important to the customer. So with that, upskilling your users after the fact will benefit obviously yourselves as a business and the customer themselves as well. So it'll improve your business as a whole. So, Kay, if you could just jump to the next page for me, please. Thank you. So again, some of the top ways it identifies it, as I mentioned before, it does it at scale. So there's so many calls that go through the system. Your QA teams, your team leaders, they can't listen to every single one. So using spoken AI, we can flag conversations where the agents might need to support, or there might be a compliance issue that's been missed. So you can do that. It just raises different coaching opportunities you've got there. So we're also tracking script adherence. So again, you might have a script they have to say. So the guys might have to go through terms and conditions, otherwise the sale isn't valid. Or there might be kind of regulatory things that you need to run through as well. So this can track for gaps in that. So we're not making assumptions. We're not just assuming that a phrase has been said. You can make sure that the agent did actually follow the terms and conditions. And if they didn't, do they need extra coaching? And do they need to make sure that they are reading these and going through them? Again, services high impact conversations. So some conversations can be quite a sensitive nature. They can be from vulnerable people that need that help. So did the agent, did they manage that well? Do they need help with it? It can just be about sitting down with that recording and everything that's been said, and just working through it and kind of saying, yes, we can help you with that, we can coach you, we can improve that. And again, that improves not only the agent, but the customer's point of view as well. So it improves your business as a whole. Also, we benchmark and we recognize top performers. So it's not just about where the guys need coaching and the guys need help. It's also about kind of celebrating, look how well these guys are doing. And these guys are a shining standard that everybody else should be working towards. So these guys are really good. We identify objections and how well the agents dealt with the objections. So you can then start using that in your training and coaching with other users and say, look how well Kayleigh did with this one. She did it by doing this, this, and this. So you can use that as a kind of training exercise for the other members of the team. It also kind of highlights, average talk times, average queue times, and things like that. So you can kind of see on the talk times, why is such a body's talk time, this, they got through everything on the call, it was so tight, and your talk time is a little bit long or it's a little bit short. What do we need to work on there to kind of help out? And then lastly, it's consistent, it's data-led feedback. So when you are having those coaching sessions, those one-on-one sessions with the users, the stats are there and the data's there, and they can say, I don't think my calls were that long. You could say, well, look at your average talk time. Spoken AI is showing it here, and it's showing that, your average talk time is a little bit longer than the normal average talk time. So you can use that, and the stats are right there to help and kind of train. So it's a really, really powerful tool that will kind of help coach your users, help coach you as a business, and it will improve everything from your customer feedback as well. And I think that is the end of my demo section, so I'll hand back to Kayleigh.
Thanks, Tom.
No worries.
Yeah, I think so it's clear with AI and automation, the more we introduce AI and automation into the customer conversations, it's removing that routine work, and actually teams are dealing with more complex conversations or emotionally charged conversations. So supporting your team with the right tools, what insights, training, coaching just becomes more and more important to give them the best chance of having success themselves, but also achieving successful outcomes for your business as well. So, Tom, thanks for taking us through some of those different ways in MaxContact that you can do that. Sorry, I skipped on the slide a bit too quickly there. So just a few takeaways before we get on to questions, just as a reflection point. But one of the most important decisions that you'll make in your contact strategy is when and where to put AI to work, and where does it make sense to have connections to human agents, or just human agents initially taking those conversations forward. The answer isn't always one size fits all, and our research shows that 70% of customers do prefer to speak to a person when explaining the situation. So that includes the complex queries, the complaints and emergencies, and things that we mentioned at the start of the call that came out of the research. But that's not to say that automation doesn't have a place. It absolutely does. It's about that balance between actually what do customers want and say they want versus how do I serve them fast, efficiently, but also not degrade the customer experience too much that it starts to have a negative impact on your wider business, retention rates, and revenue as an organization. It can have a strategic impact when it comes to CX. AI works brilliantly for triaging conversations, FAQs, routing, and as we know, it can reduce wait times and gather context before an agent or one of your team has to pick up that conversation as well. So it definitely has its place, but the key is escalation and making sure that you've got that clear, seamless handoff from self-service to a human agent aware are really what makes the difference in that customer contact strategy. Because when that moment matters, when a customer becomes frustrated or worried or just needs help, nothing really replaces a human at the end of the line. So build your AI into your strategy, but always leave space for that empathy and that moment when a human might need to step in. And that's how you get the best of both worlds. And like we said at the start, some of this is a bit trial and error, but you will know more than anyone and based on the insights across your contact center, where it might be most appropriate to get those efficiencies and where actually it is more efficient to have a human on the call taking the lead with that conversation. So that is the end of our presentation. So thanks very much, Tom. We'll go through any questions before we close out. Let me just stop sharing this screen now so I can see these questions. Gosh. No, I'm not going to. I can't figure out how to use that. We've just started to use Zoom and I cannot see. All right, let me go to the questions. So, how do you decide when to use AI and when to route a customer to a human? So I think great question. I suppose this is what this conversation's about, but knowing when is the more difficult part. But from what we're seeing and talking to clients about, it's the intent and the complexity of the call. Like we said, there's certain points when it just makes sense to have someone talking at the end of the line, or you're dealing with a particular customer, maybe it's a certain spend, it might be a certain demographic of client that actually you know that serving them in a particular way is one more efficient from a cost perspective, or it has a better outcome. So like I said, AI is great for that initial triage and handling those repetitive, low risk queries or inquiries. But when a conversation needs that emotion, or the path might not be as clear as to how this conversation is going to be resolved, that's when we are suggesting, and we're talking to clients about, is when a human might need to step in. That's why the best strategies aren't AI only. It's a combination of human and AI together, and how they work together is a really crucial part to the contact strategy. So your system in general should route topics, route conversations to the right person based on topic, tone, urgency, and that can all be automation that can be built in as well into the MaxContact platform. You've got skills-based routing, so you know that conversations are reaching the right person at the right time as well, so that they're escalated in the best way and dealt with quickly and efficiently. I hope that answers the question of what we're seeing. Let me just bear with. Tom, I think you're probably best with this one. What impact does smart routing actually have on performance?
So it really positive impact actually, because it's obviously you want to get the call through to the right people. You don't want the users on the call triaging and transferring the call off. You want them actually concentrating on their purpose. So whether it be selling or customer service, you don't want them trying to have to find somebody and send it off again. So the biggest benefit is probably on first contact resolution. So that call comes in, it comes through to the right person and they deal with it on the call instead of being sent around. It helps from a customer's point of view, so that customer journey. You don't want the customer being frustrated because they are being transferred from A to B to Z. You want them to get through to the person they want to speak to and answer the question that they've got to ask. So essentially, yeah, it's first contact resolution is the biggest one, but then it's more customer journey and journey of everybody really. So it's feedback from customers as well. But yeah, the smart routing definitely helps with that.
Great. We've got no more questions left. I'll give it a minute because at this point, usually we get a question pop in as we're about to end the call. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for your attention today. If you would like to know more about AI and automation and how it can support you and your team, or how to build strategies that route customers to the right person at the right time, then please reach out to us. We'll send out the email afterwards, so you can reach out to us there, and one of our team will be in touch. And then hot off the press, but our next webinar will all be about AI and automation again, and introduce you guys to AI agents from MaxContact, which will be exciting. So we've got the two sides of this conversation, which will continue in June. So just check that. Thanks, Tom. No more questions, so we'll leave it there. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Cool. Thanks, everybody.
See you soon.